And actually, going through what you and the rest of the family have gone through.
I think when you are bereaved at a very young age, anytime really, but particularly at a young age, I can resonate closely to that. You feel pain like no other pain. And you know that in your life, it's going to be very difficult to.
What if one quiet royal decision just sent shockwaves through the entire British monarchy? Because according to whispers swirling through palace corridors, something dramatic may have happened the moment Prince William quietly took control of one of the most powerful estates in Britain. And no, this isn't just about castles, gardens, or fancy royal holidays. This is about power, money, and family tension that may have been building for decades. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away in 2022, the world watched the crown pass to King Charles III. But behind the ceremonial speeches, the mourning crowds, and the solemn royal traditions, something else happened. Something much bigger. Because in a single legal move, Prince William suddenly became the new master of the legendary Duchy of Cornwall, a billion-dollar royal empire of land, farms, coastlines, and historic estates. Sounds impressive, right? Well, insiders say that one of William's very first decisions may have sent a very clear message to another powerful figure inside the palace, Queen Camilla. And according to royal watchers, that message may have landed directly on her family. A quiet decision, a sudden removal, and a royal payroll that changed overnight. So the real question is, was this simply a routine management decision? Or was Prince William quietly drawing a line in the sand, showing everyone exactly who holds the real power now? The moment Prince William officially stepped into his new role as Duke of Cornwall, something subtle, but incredibly powerful, began to change behind palace walls. Because while the public saw a calm transition following the death of Queen Elizabeth II, insiders say the real transformation was happening quietly inside one of the most valuable private estates in the world. And that estate is not just another royal property. It's the legendary Duchy of Cornwall. Created in 1337 by Edward III, the duchy has existed for nearly 7 centuries. Its purpose has always been simple but incredibly powerful: provide wealth, land, and financial independence to the monarch's eldest son and heir to the throne. For hundreds of years, whoever controlled the Duchy of Cornwall controlled an enormous slice of Britain's hidden royal economy. Now that control belongs to Prince William. And the scale of what he inherited is almost unbelievable. We're talking about more than 135,000 acres of land scattered across England. Ancient farms, historic cottages, entire coastal landscapes, even islands sitting quietly off the Cornish coast. In fact, the estate includes most of the Isles of Scilly, stretches of Dartmoor, and valuable properties across multiple counties. Add it all together, and the duchy is now worth an estimated $2 billion. Yes, billion. And every year, the duchy quietly generates tens of millions of dollars through rents, farming, tourism properties, and financial investments. In 2025 alone, reports suggest the estate generated roughly $30 million in income. That means Prince William suddenly became the manager of a billion-dollar business empire overnight. But here's where the story starts to get interesting. Because the Duchy of Cornwall is not just land. It's also a complex web of employees, contractors, advisors, designers, estate managers, and consultants who have worked within the royal system for decades. Many of these people were hired during the long period when the duchy was controlled by William's father, King Charles III. For more than 40 years, Charles personally shaped how the duchy operated. He hired the people he trusted. He built relationships. And over time, some of those relationships became deeply personal, including one connection that would soon attract a surprising amount of attention, because among the people working on royal properties connected to the duchy was someone very close to the royal family itself. Not just an employee, not just a consultant, but a member of the Queen's inner circle. Her own sister. Her name is Annabel Elliot. For years, Annabel had quietly built a reputation as a respected interior designer. Her style blended traditional English country aesthetics with modern comfort, and her work appeared in many charming countryside properties connected to royal estates. When Charles married Queen Camilla in 2005, Annabel's professional involvement with royal properties expanded. Soon she was helping design interiors for cottages and holiday rentals connected to the Duchy of Cornwall. Visitors staying at these historic properties were often enjoying spaces that had been styled or influenced by her work. And according to publicly available duchy accounts, she was paid thousands of pounds annually for those services, sometimes nearly £20,000, sometimes more than £80,000, depending on the projects involved. For nearly 2 decades, everything appeared perfectly normal. Annabel remained part of the extended network of professionals tied to Charles's estates. No controversy.no headlines.
No drama.
Until the moment Prince William inherited the duchy. Because once he stepped into the role of Duke of Cornwall, something very quiet, but very significant, happened.
The payroll changed.
Annabel Elliott's role with the duchy suddenly disappeared.
No loud announcement.
No dramatic press conference. Just a small update buried in estate reports and quietly confirmed by royal sources. One decision, one name removed from the payroll. And suddenly royal watchers began asking a question that nobody inside the palace wanted to answer out loud. Was this simply a routine business change made by a new estate manager? Or was Prince William sending a subtle, but unmistakable, signal about how power inside the royal family was about to shift? For years, the financial and managerial decisions surrounding the Duchy of Cornwall were made quietly by King Charles III. The estate functioned almost like a private kingdom within the larger royal system, an enormous network of farms, rental homes, coastlines, and historic properties operating under the careful supervision of the future king. But when Prince William inherited control of this billion-dollar empire, insiders say the atmosphere around the estate shifted almost immediately.
Because William didn't just inherit land. He inherited authority.
And with that authority came the power to review every contract, every employee, every consultant, and every long-standing arrangement built during his father's era. Royal observers say that within months of taking charge, William began quietly examining the financial structure of the duchy.
Estate reports were reviewed. Expenses were scrutinized.
Contracts were reconsidered.
Nothing dramatic. Nothing loud.
But behind the scenes, decisions were being made that would ripple far beyond the accounting department. That's when the issue of Annabel Elliott reportedly surfaced. For nearly 20 years, Annabel had been involved in designing interiors for various properties connected to the duchy. The cottages rented out to tourists, the countryside retreats used for holidays, many of them carried the signature style she helped create. To visitors, it looked charming. To the royal estate, it looked profitable. But to a new duke reviewing the books, it may have looked like something else entirely, a family connection embedded inside a billion-pound business. According to royal commentators, William's team began reassessing how these roles should operate moving forward. And then, quietly, the change happened. Annabel Elliott was removed from the Duchy of Cornwall payroll.
No dramatic announcement.
Just a quiet confirmation that her services were no longer required under the estate's new management. The explanation? Sources close to the estate reportedly described it as a simple restructuring decision. A new duke, a new management approach, and a desire to streamline operations. But royal watchers weren't convinced it was that simple.
Because the optics were impossible to ignore.
The sister of Queen Camilla, a woman who had worked within the extended royal network for nearly 2 decades, had suddenly lost her role the moment William took control. And that raised eyebrows across royal circles.
Was this merely professional housekeeping? Or was it something far more symbolic?
Some commentators suggested the move reflected William's desire to modernize the duchy and reduce the kind of insider arrangements that had quietly developed over decades. Others saw something deeper. A subtle signal, a message that the new Duke of Cornwall intended to run the estate very differently from his father. Adding even more intrigue, reports suggested William was also bringing in people he personally trusted, friends, longtime associates, and advisors connected to his own circle. In other words, while one royal connection disappeared, new ones began appearing.
Out with old alliances. In with new loyalties.
And inside palace corridors, that kind of quiet shift rarely goes unnoticed. Because in the royal world, power is almost never announced loudly.
It's revealed through decisions. Through payroll changes.
Through who stays, and who suddenly finds themselves on the outside looking in. Which is exactly why this one quiet decision began generating whispers about something much larger unfolding behind palace doors. And that's where this story starts to move beyond a simple payroll change, and into the far more complicated territory of royal history, loyalty, and long memories inside the House of Windsor. Because to understand why this quiet decision sparked so many whispers, you have to remember something important. The relationship between Prince William and Queen Camilla was never a typical stepmother-stepson story. It was shaped by one of the most dramatic royal chapters in modern history. For years during the 1990s, the world watched the painful breakdown of the marriage between King Charles III and Diana, Princess of Wales. And at the center of that storm was Camilla. The relationship between Charles and Camilla became public during one of the monarchy's most turbulent periods. Headlines exploded, interviews shocked audiences, and the royal family faced a level of scrutiny unlike anything it had seen in decades. 4 young princes growing up inside that chaos, the impact was enormous. William and his brother witnessed their mother endure intense public humiliation and emotional turmoil. The world saw the headlines, but the princes experienced the private pain behind them. Then, in 1997, tragedy struck when Diana died in a car crash in Paris.
William was just 15 years old.
Moments like that don't simply disappear with time. Even though William has always maintained a respectful public relationship with Camilla, and even attended his father's wedding to her in 2005, royal experts often point out that history leaves a lasting imprint. And that history makes every decision involving Camilla's family politically delicate. Which is why the removal of Annabel Elliot from the Duchy of Cornwall payroll attracted such attention. Because the duchy isn't just another business. It's a royal institution nearly 700 years old, founded in 1337 by Edward III to financially support the heir to the throne. Whoever controls it is not only wealthy, they are powerful. Right now, that power belongs to Prince William. And the scale of what he controls is staggering. The Duchy of Cornwall spans roughly 135,000 acres of land across England. Farms, forests, villages, coastal landscapes, and entire islands generate income through rents, tourism, agriculture, and investments. Recent financial reports suggest the estate produces around $30 million annually for the heir to the throne. But the duchy is only the beginning. Because one day, when William eventually becomes king, an even larger inheritance awaits. Two of the most iconic royal estates, Sandringham House and Balmoral Castle, are privately owned by the monarch. Both properties currently belong to Charles. And when the crown eventually passes to William, those estates will pass to him as well. At that moment, the future king will control not only a historic duchy worth billions, but also some of the most legendary properties in royal history. Which brings us back to the quiet decision that started all these conversations. Because if removing one designer from a payroll created this much discussion, imagine the kind of choices a future king will be able to make. Inside the royal family, power rarely arrives with a loud announcement.
It arrives slowly. Through inheritance. Through responsibility.
Through decisions made quietly behind palace walls. And if the early signals from Prince William's management of the Duchy of Cornwall mean anything, it may be that a new royal era has already begun, long before the crown ever changes hands. So what does all of this really mean for the future of the British royal family? On the surface, it may look like a simple management decision made by Prince William after inheriting control of the Duchy of Cornwall.
A routine review of contracts.
A quiet restructuring of staff. Nothing unusual for someone suddenly responsible for $1 billion estate. But royal history has taught us something very important. Inside the monarchy, small decisions often carry very big messages. Because when power shifts inside the royal family, it rarely happens through dramatic announcements or public speeches.
It happens quietly. Through changes in staff. Through financial reports.
Through who is welcomed into the inner circle, and who suddenly isn't. The removal of Annabel Elliot from the duchy payroll may seem minor compared to the enormous wealth and land controlled by the estate.
But symbolically,
it raised a fascinating question across royal circles. Is Prince William simply modernizing the duchy and building his own trusted team? Or is this the first quiet signal that the future king intends to run things very differently from the era of King Charles III and Queen Camilla? Because if one payroll change can spark this much conversation, imagine what could happen when William eventually controls not only the Duchy of Cornwall, but also historic royal estates like Sandringham House and Balmoral Castle. Will the next generation of the monarchy bring major reforms? Will long-standing royal connections survive the transition? Or are we already witnessing the early signs of a completely new royal era quietly taking shape behind palace walls?
Now I want to hear your thoughts.
Do you think Prince William was right to make this decision? Or do you believe it sends a deeper message to Camilla's family about their place in the future monarchy?
Drop your opinion in the comments below.
And if you enjoy uncovering the hidden stories behind royal headlines, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the next royal revelation might already be unfolding.